Strap yourself in. Woodward prohibited. Not available. Must go to shop.
Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with a revisit from Troy Luccketta. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, Dan. How are you doing?
Great. It's very nice to see you out here at home base in Las Vegas.
Yes.
It's the last show of the Tesla tour.
It is. Yes.
How's it been?
It's been exciting. All summer, it's been really filled with just hardcore Tesla fans and a lot of sold out shows. And tonight being it's the last show, we're wrapping here in Las Vegas. I mean, how perfect is this?
Yeah, this is great.
Gives us an opportunity to hang out a little bit, to talk about some drums and kind of catch up on, some of the things that we haven't caught up on.
Right.
So it's an exciting moment and opportunity for sure.
Yeah, we've kind of fell down the rabbit hole a little bit out in my drum room a moment ago.
Yeah.
We had the wives out there get a quick picture. They started to go in the house and we pulled the we'll be there in a minute trick.
Hey, check this out.
Yeah, exactly. It fell down the whole rabbit hole of drum geekdom, I guess.
Yeah, which we're all guilty of. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
For all those drummers out there, we all know what that is, right?
That's why we're here.
The cool part about that is we're not in denial.
Right, exactly. I admit it, and it's not a problem.
Yeah,
I admit
exactly.
I don't have a
that's
problem.
That's the first step.
Exactly.
I am powerless over drumming.
Since we were talking about influences, and you and I share a lot of the same influences, John Bonham, Ian Pace, let me ask you sort of a curveball question on that whole topic. Are there any contemporary drummers that you listen to that really catch your attention? Anyone that's kind of come on the scene maybe in like the last 10 years?
The last 10 years, the one kid I go back to a lot, and everybody knows of him, is Thomas Pridgen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, I was fortunate enough to have Thomas when he was about 15, pre-Berkeley school. So we spent a couple months together, and, when he came in, he was coming from David Garibaldi, and they were looking for a teacher, and I was teaching at the time. This was quite some time ago, actually. We're going a little bit further back, 96. When Tesla broke up. And I've kind of followed his path in his career just lately because I kind of lost touch with all of it. We play, we do a lot of things, and we just get consumed with life,
right,
as I have. And there's a lot of guys that I'm not familiar with. And but for some reason, I keep going back and watching Thomas and watching his endurance and his speed and his... It's been influential to myself, and stepping back to when he was 15, I remember when he first sat down and played, I remember thinking to myself, God, what am I going to really teach this kid? What do I have? What can I really bring to the table? I had to remove my ego and just separate myself. And the only thing I could come up with that made any sense at the time was to he was getting ready to go into Berkeley, so he wasn't much into a lot of reading. So we went through Ted Reed's Syncopation together. And I don't think we got through the full book. We were together for a few months. But anyway, that was somebody that has completely floored me to this day.
Yeah.
Along with Tony Royster, of course.
Yeah.
And they were kind of back and forth, and they still do a lot of wonderful things in that area. But to step into today's current world of drumming, there's a lot that I'm embarrassed to say that I'm not in touch with. But so I'm just going to leave it with Thomas for now.
Yeah, and that's cool. My first introduction to Thomas was it was one of my daughters that said, "Dad, you got to hear this CD," and it was Mars Volta. With Thomas on it. What was cool about that was every song was basically a different genre of music. And he's that kind of drummer. He's very versatile. He's like a chameleon. And as you said, he's got all that agility and he's very fast, but yet he still has a lot of feel. You know, there's a lot of players out there that have the speed and everything, but sometimes it can come out a bit sterile, if you will. Whereas Thomas still has groove.
Yeah.
And he has that human element, you know.
He's got groove, he's got power, he's got speed. He's...
I was going to say he's got cool hair, but to me, everybody has cool hair.
Like your lovely wife, she has cool hair too.
Yeah, she has very cool hair.
I've seen.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, my wife has hair to the floor.
Yes,
literally,
she does.
it's that far, dreadlocks that far from the floor. Very cool. I want to ask about, and we'll play part of the clip while we're talking about it, the somewhat new video from Tesla.
So divine?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tesla's had a new record out. Not so new anymore. Well, June, this last year. We kind of, the video in of itself was just shot in a day, in an afternoon.
You went back to some roots in the whole genre of video shooting in a way, right?
I don't know in that world. As far as the approach to the record, it was very grassroots. Basically, ProTools was just treated like a tape machine. And we kind of do that anyway. We do the way we record. We capture performance, you know, and we do a few takes and keep a full performance. And you know, see if we can get live rhythm tracks. We did that. We didn't quantize anything. You know, we didn't grid it. So it's very old school. It sounds kind of refreshing, you know, to that era. And Michael Wagner, who was a great mix engineer and producer, mixed the record. So yeah, we kind of decided, hey, we need a new record. Frank said, let's get together and write a record. We had no songs, and this was back in, I think, last November. And we had it put together by, March? We had to have it ready for release, and we just kind of wrote the songs, went up to Tom Wagner's in West Virginia, and did some pre-production, some writing, and then we spent a few weeks there. And we got out of there, we went in the studio, did a little bit of rehearsing, and we jumped in, and the idea was, let's record a song a day, top to bottom, which kind of happened, but all the vocals didn't really get, you know, done. But we would pretty much musically get
Was that new for Tesla?
Well, I think it's not that it's new. It's kind of like going back when we used to do a lot of pre-production and writing, as opposed to get in there. Forevermore record we did in 2008, we pretty much wrote that record on the spot. I mean, the second we had an arrangement, I would record my parts, and we didn't have vocals, and the songs were very unfinished. So it's not the most inspiring way to write and record a record. You know, it's like sending tracks to everybody and, hey, let's put a record together. Let's get 5 individuals in a room. Let's play music. And
where the chemistry can happen.
And let things happen and get back to that. So we kind of lost touch with that on Forevermore. We kind of wrote that and put it right. And it was fine. There's a lot of good tracks, and there's some nice moments and some things that happened within that. But it sure was nice to get back to, and we didn't have a lot of playing time to really flush these song ideas out. We flushed them out enough to where there was like, okay, here it is. This is what we're going after. Let's go in and record it.
Right.
What and that's kind of yeah. So and then Jeff went back and finished up some of the lyrics and the things that we didn't get done.
Were you guys happy along the way? Like, was it kind of like, hey, this is working? Was it that sort of vibe?
Tom Wagner, who produced the record, he was. It was the vibe, and it very much was. You know, there was some really heated moments in there where it was like, you know, because of all the technology, the Pro Tools and gridding and comping and things like that, it was like he was very much against all of that. It's like, let's get a full performance. And even if you had a performance, that was it. You do another performance and maybe take a pick, listen back, and make a decision based on the overall performance. Maybe I had a better performance on the take prior, but they went with take 2 because they liked something that happened in take 2.
With the other guys,
and I'm over here going, man, I wish it was take 1, you know?
Yeah.
But really, for me, I just let go of all of that, put all the trust into the fact that he was producing the record, as we all did as a band. And we left it, and really, we let him produce the record. So we could stay out of the way and just play. And just, if he felt it, and we felt it, and there was a connection, then we had it, you know? Cool. And it was never overthought. There was only a few, you know, usually about 3 takes per song.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's great.
And when we did Reel to Reel back with Tom, there was 5 songs, all live in the studio, 24 track analog to half-inch analog. No Pro Tools, never turned it on.
Right.
Full live performance. Maybe 1, 2, 3 takes. Same approach that we went back with him. And that's what he wanted to get back to. And with us, if you would have left us in there by ourselves, it'd be like, hey, that feels a little draggy here. I'll just grit it out,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's so easy to just
repair it. Yeah.
It is, but we didn't do that. We just kind of went for it. I think there's a spirit on the record that
it reflects.
Yeah,
that.
it does.
Yeah,
very
that's
much.
Cool. Does Jeff sing scratch vocals when you're doing that process, or do some of them get kept?
You know what? Let me see. He sang scratch on everything.
Mm-hmm. Does that help with the feel of
it?
Not just knowing where you're at, but the feel?
Yeah, no, we needed to have that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But we didn't keep anything. He went back and re-sang because they didn't have him set up properly to get what they wanted from the vocal mics, and they wanted to flush that out a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, you mentioned earlier when we were having lunch that you guys have pretty much your schedule set into 2016. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. It's very cool, which is very exciting.
I got to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So that you all understand how much weight there is in that statement and that amount of planning. This is September 20th of 2014, and Troy told me earlier that they've got their stuff planned out into 2 years, basically. It's a year and a half at least. Right?
Yeah. It's like when Motley Crue announced that they were going out for 2 years, remember?
Yeah.
They had their plan. And for us, we sat down last night and we're in the, was it the night before last? Maybe it was. And we're in the dressing room, and a conversation we started getting into, and the next thing you know, we were into the full planning of 2016, which took all about 30 minutes. And so basically what happened...
Is it just you guys, or does management get involved, or do you
guys
make the call?
Tesla, Brian, our bass player, and Frank Hanna.
Okay.
So they managed the group, and done a fantastic job with it too, by the way. They've been, you don't even realize what goes into that side of it, and as I come to reflect and have a new understanding of just how hard they work at that.
It's a full-time job.
And then to come together, as Brian did. I mean, he just said, "Hey, this is where we're at. This is what we can do. This is what we're looking at," and he had it figured out.
Wow!
And I was like, "Man, this is really great." So what happened was, tonight's our last show. Mm-hmm. We're off. Jeff, our singer, is getting a hip replacement that will take us through January. Okay. So he's getting that October 20th, I think. So that's coming up here shortly. And then I think our next date is NAMM weekend. We're not at NAMM. We're not playing NAMM, but that weekend of January, the last third week of January maybe.
Yeah. 24th, 25th.
Yeah. That's when we pick it up for like 3 weeks. We do a 3-week run, January, take a couple weeks off, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks off, go for another 3-week run. March, April, a couple weeks off. Come May, we'll hit it through all of, May through September. Mm-hmm. We will tour.
Is that all U.S. or into Europe and whatnot?
Maybe Europe as well.
Okay.
We've been going back and forth and keeping those avenues open, so to speak,
right.
So festivals and maybe a few dates. We won't hit Europe hard as far as like go out for 6-8 weeks. Mm-hmm. If there's something that makes sense, yes, it could happen. But so it's usually a couple weeks. So we'll finish up, and then we're taking 6 months off. We're having a box set come out of all our, everything backwards to the time we started.
Oh, wow.
Demos, all kinds of stuff. Demos of, Love Song and Modern Day Cowboy.
Yeah.
Actually, like Modern Day Cowboy had a completely different chorus on it before we record. And then we changed the chorus and put it on, did a rewrite for the chorus for the record. So those kinds of things. Have a lot of fun with that. And we'll probably start looking at a new record at that point.
Oh, cool.
Possibly. So, but we're going to, and then that 6 month break is going to take us into 16.
Right.
So, and then we'll pick it back up in March, and we'll go out through probably, I'm guessing, October.
That's cool.
So, and then we will probably continue to work that way,
Yeah.
God willing, everybody's health stays well. We can continue to, do what we're doing. But so far, so good, I know it's glass, but hey.
Here you go. How much of a relief is it for a guy like you who does so many projects to know right now what your schedule's going to be for 2 years, so that now you know how you can fit in all the other stuff that you do? It's got to be a relief.
You have no idea. Let me tell you something. When I got this news, I was like, oh, awesome. I don't have to wonder if I can do something in the future.
Your schedule. Exactly.
It's like, this is my Tesla time. Right. Everything revolves around what it is I do with the band. All of us have made a commitment. This is what we do. This is our gig. It's our bread and butter. We love what we do. We love our side projects, but we also realize this is what we do. This is the priority. Period. So now that is established and we know what that is, we can. And for me, it's a huge relief because, first of all, time with family. Yeah. You got to plan that, which, and I start adding these things and putting these things on my plate, and I put a lot of things on my plate, as you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And do a fairly decent job with it. But it's huge for me right now. It just feels like, man, I feel like I got a ton of bricks off of me, and I'm just really excited about it. I mean, once that meeting happened and I walked out of there, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is great. I know what I can count on work-wise. There's enough work there to sustain us if, we can continue to do what we've been doing the way it's been going. Yeah. And I need to put that creative side. I have things I want to do inside me. Yeah. I've got some things that I'm putting together. Some of it we're not even going to talk about because I'm just going to get busy and get it done. And I need to do that because I've talked about it enough in the past and with friends and people, and it's like, you know what, just get it done. So I need to do some of that. A book maybe.
Ooh. A coloring
DVD.
book?
Comic book. Because I'm such a great artist. And you wait till you see my Woody Woodpecker, man. I'm telling you, it's incredible.
Let me ask you this. For those of the viewers who don't know that Troy does stay very busy, you've worked with people all the way from Doris Day to Keith Emerson with an orchestra. We've talked about that in your first interview. What projects can you talk about that you're going to plug in during these holes in between the Tesla dates?
Well, there is a record coming out October 14th. The band is called Saville Row, SAVILLE music.com.
It's right here on the screen.
I love that.
Yeah, it's right there.
and
that's with Marc Bonilla.
It's Marc Bonilla, Travis Davis, Mika Greiner is the singer, Travis is the bass player, Mark and myself. And Mark and myself and Travis did the Keith Emerson Three Fates project, which is with the Munich Philharmonic.
And you've got to check that out if you haven't seen it. And watch Troy's first interview to see clips and the story of how that came about. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you for doing a beautiful job on that,
you're
by
welcome.
the way. Appreciate what you do so much
thanks.
for all of us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
But yeah, that's so Saville Row. We're gonna try to get busy with, but that record's coming out on the 14th. So Mark and I are, looking at plugging that in. Joe Travers, Dweezil Zappa, has been kind enough to. He just did a fill-in date for myself, and God knows Joe's no slouch. And honored to have Joe there.
We have a visitor.
Yes, we do. Hi, how are you, Sammy? And
will Joe continue to do things
maybe,
with the guys?
I don't know with his
available?
schedule as well. So, but Mark and I, it's perfect because they have a relationship, and he's not doing Dweezil Zappa as I understand it now.
Right.
So, or the Zappa plays Zappa is what it was. So, yeah, I mean, I think. And I'm sure I will do every date that I can, and we're going to get busy and we're going to focus this thing. I am truly the drummer for Saville Row, and God bless you, Joe. I love you, but just remember that. No. I love Joe, fantastic
great
drummer,
guy.
and just an amazing player. So honored to have him there as well. But I will do everything I can, and we'll see how things flush out, but. we want to get this music out there. It's great music. It's great music. It's got great writing, great musicianship. The composing is spectacular, I think. So I'm a big fan of it, and I hope you like it.
That's so cool. You know, well, I think you're like me. We don't care about our age or, you know.
I don't mind being in my 30s.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
fine.
mind either. You know, seriously, 30 years ago, did you
Oh, it was 30 years ago.
That's where you got the number.
That's where it came from.
Did you think 30 years ago you'd be doing what you're doing at this age? And when I say that, Troy, I don't mean just doing it in a sense where you're just getting by or just hanging on, but you're freaking doing it. You're putting out new albums. You're doing all these other sessions. You got a whole other band going. Did you ever think you'd be doing that in the time of your life when you have grandchildren?
Wow. You know, I don't think I really ever gave it that much thought. To look at it and think about what it is now, and speaking of grandchildren, nothing like it, the most spectacular thing in the world for those of you who don't have grandchildren.
Have kids just to have grandchildren. It's that good, right?
It truly is. Yeah. And I had no idea. People can tell you about it all day long, but to you, London, yes.
Yeah, until you experience it, you don't really understand it.
Truly. Yeah. But to think of it on those terms and to look at the career that I have today, I had never dreamt and had given it any thought. You know, when I started playing drums, as I started to figure it out, and this was prior to our technology and where we're at, and you look at how everything is so accessible and how different it was when we started playing.
Yeah.
Playing music, you put the record on and you're listening, and then you have to pick up the needle,
put
and
it
it back, and
to learn that
again,
fill.
turn it back.
The beginning of Pictures from Home on Machine Head. I told Ian Pace I had to put the needle back, to hear it over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, you fooled no one. I know that too, Dan.
Exactly.
Anyway, so as it would turn out, I mean, all these years, you fast forward, I look at my career today, and I have been so blown away with the fact, first of all, that I have a band 27 years together. Yeah. Playing music that's relevant.
Right.
You know, we're part of this thing that's out there. There's this legacy with Tesla. Right. You know, and we've been exposed to so much. We've got to see a lot of the sides of it back, how it felt back in the 70s, because we came on. I started with Eric Martin. Band, you know, prior to Mr. Big and Tesla, the Eric Martin band. Mm-hmm. So we toured with Journey, and I was like 23 years old, made my first record on Elektra Records. Right. We did Dick Clark's American Bandstand. We did a lot of cool stuff, but we weren't making a living. We weren't making the money. We didn't hit, you know, all when MTV started. I remember when our video was on there, and we were really thinking it was going to happen, and when it didn't happen, and then you got to start over, and you're 25 years old, as I was, and, you know, you fast forward and you really appreciate what you have today, as I do, and all of Tesla, all of us, the fact that we have a career, we've got this legacy, we've got all this in music. It's behind us. You know, every show that we play, our fans, we are reminded, because all that history is right in front of us.
Yeah. I heard a month ago that the Vegas show for tonight, there were 5 tickets left. That was like a month or so ago.
You know, all the shows have been sold out.
Yeah. And when we saw you last year, when we did your interview last year, I was blown away. I don't get into this much when I go to concerts. I don't get into watching the crowd that much. I'm just so zoned in on the performance and appreciating that learning. But my wife and I were just as much people watching and getting off on how everyone knew all the words to the songs and the cues. And it was really cool. It's a true loyal fan base, and that must be real gratifying, because, you know, going back to what you said a moment ago, at any given time, in between Dick Clark's show and the next gig, at any given time, something might have happened where if it went this way, none of those next 25 or 30 years might not have happened.
How about the fact that we broke up in '96? Right. Took 4 years off, hadn't put a record out. At that point, it was almost 10 years by the time the next studio album would come out. And but prior to even getting back together, even if we would have never gotten back together, and in my mind, at that time, I started a roofing company. You know, and I was home. I decided I was going to stay home and watch my son grow up. He just entered high school, and I did do that. And I had a tour that I took with Eric Martin in '98, and I took my son with me. He was 15 years old. Troy came with me, and we were and God bless Eric. Thank you. I still got to say thank you. That was a wonderful time. But we spent 3 weeks in Japan. And it was exciting, you know, and I hadn't been on the road, but I wanted to watch him get through high school. And so I had to have something else going on, you know, and I knew I'm the kind of guy, I'm somewhat of a workaholic. And I remember we played our last show in Reno, Tesla, 96. I landed 10:30 in Oakland. By 12 noon, I had already had my first meeting, and I already secured some property where I was going to start teaching, which I put an ad in BAM magazine. And I had 25 students like that, thank God.
Wow.
And about when, you know, BAM magazine, I said, Troy Luccketta from Tesla, now seeking students. And my phone, and I was like, wow, it worked.
Wow.
Who would have known, right?
Yeah.
I did, but at any rate, so awesome. It got me into a serious teaching thing, and I started studying with this guy, Rob Hart, that Steve Smith turned me on to. And I started studying classical piano. And I took a year of that, and I was roofing on the side. And a buddy of mine, Dennis Bostock, him and I got this. I was working for him and doing these jobs, and I had an opportunity to roof, and I was roofing on my own. I just do composition shingles, but I do roofs by myself because I didn't want to pay you because I need the money. Sorry, so I do them by myself, really, and I'd cheat and do it all, and I was into it. I loved it. So when we did that, when it came up for the band to get back together, I mean, my head wasn't even near that. Pat calls, and he has Curtis Johnson online, and he's got the whole band ready to do this Oktoberfest show, Halloween, for their great big year spectacular radio event show that they were putting on at the Arco Arena, 15,000 seat arena.
Oh, yeah.
And Three Doors Down was opening, and a band called Oleander, because Three Doors Down was brand new at the time. They had, you know, Superman was out.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm like, yeah, so we took it on, and it just started our whole thing back up. But at the time, I wasn't even interested. I truly, and I didn't think people were interested in the music or what we were doing. Yeah, because, you know, I mean, you had the grunge scene, and everything kind of went that direction. And, you know, a lot of heavy metal was dead in the water. And, you know, so it's like, oh, okay, well, it was our hometown. It sold out, the arena.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
So were you guys trying to like excuse it away in a sense?
I
Because
think,
again, it was your hometown.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did for sure. I'm like, we got lucky. It was our hometown gig. And of course they want to see the band, you know. But nobody cares over here. So they put like 2 weeks of theaters on sale, you know, like 2,000-3,000 seats.
Yeah.
Sold out.
Wow.
Put on this, everything that year was sold out, including the Bacon Theater. Yeah, we never got home. And we stayed out there, and we're still out, and we're working, and we kind of figured it out now.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're having fun. It's good.
It's to the point to where now you're planning 2 years in advance your schedule, which is great.
Which I like. Yeah,
cool.
That's good.
I'm going to pull something from over here.
You got it.
And because I'm going to have you sign something special.
Okay.
And this is so special. I have to find this is actually my notes for the interview. Good thing I memorized them all.
What do we have here?
Well, we're going to start with a brand new head that we're going to start for a song for wellness. For those of you who follow this show, we did an interview with Troy May 4th of 2013, and we started a bass drum head for a song for wellness. And I spent a year and a half getting all kinds of signatures with as many guests of interviews that I did in person that I was able to tote the head around with. Got it all filled up. Was looking forward to seeing Troy here September 20th to have him, you know, present this head to him and everything. And Troy has such a big heart that if you look on drumtalktv.com and you find the interview with Troy, April Samuels, James Michael McLester, and myself. James Michael McLester is in need of a possible kidney transplant, but in the meantime, he's going to have his own stem cells used to regenerate everything. Hopefully everything will be fine. And I had something I had been circulating, another drum head that we were going to donate, raise money for. And Troy, bless his heart, donated the big 24-inch head that had all these signatures, and thanks to a lot of people that followed the show, we raised most of the money that he needed. So we're going to start a whole new legacy for your foundation. And
Sweet.
As you sign it and write the name of it on here, please tell everybody what it is that you're getting started.
Okay, a song for wellness.org is a website that was put together with myself and Linda, my girl who's over here. And what happened was a few years ago, I'll try to make it brief.
Sure,
her sister passed away with colon cancer, and my friend that I grew up with, my childhood friend Rick Souza, I was spending time with him, and Linda was spending time with her sister, and we're trying to get her well through nutrition, which was all new to me. I didn't know anything about what it is I'm doing today. Okay, so what happened was some information came to my knowledge that if our body's in an alkaline state, then disease can't survive in an alkaline state. Right. And I really didn't understand that. And you can look it up and learn on A Song for Wellness what that is. And in the juicing section, Robert O. Young explains it really well, what pH is to the body. You think a scale 0 to 14, 7 being neutral. So what happens is as we put things in our bodies become highly acidic. If we're putting, all the GMOs and the pesticides and all the
unknowns.
And the stuff we've been eating and doing, that we've been enjoying for years that we really didn't have knowledge about, that I've enjoyed. And what happens, at any rate, is your body starts to process it and becomes acidic. Mm-hmm. So, or you can eat, if you're doing like alkaline water, and if you're doing a lot of organic foods and lots of fruits and vegetables and juicing, your body will move into a more alkaline state. So the idea is to really truly eat well and eat as much organic, as many organic foods as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's not a diet. This is about a way to live and treat ourselves.
It is a lifestyle.
Health. It is truly a lifestyle. So I'm about a year and a half into it, and I can tell you, my body here, I don't know if you can see the scar right here, but this is psoriasis, and not to show my leg, but you can see the scar here.
Yeah, hold your leg up high if you can.
The reason I'm showing you my leg there is because I used to be all broken out with psoriasis, my head,
really?
Everything. Oh yeah,
wow.
Yeah, for years. And because of the way I eat and the things that I do, and I'm not 100% by any stretch of the imagination, but I can tell you, I guess I must be doing well enough that my body has repaired itself.
And he's 73.
Yeah, and working my way down. So anyway, so I started A Song for Wellness to bring information and awareness and knowledge. And we got big plans for it.
You're still working the plan.
Working the plan and bringing information in and making sure that when we retool this, we can hopefully figure it out and get it right so we can keep it up there. So.
Yeah, great. And you know that we're going to help you with that.
I do, and
it's
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so we're really excited about it.
That's who we are and what we're doing.
Cool, awesome. So
A Song for Wellness.
And it's only fitting that Troy put the first signature on this head, and we're going to do the same thing we did not only last year with that head, but with this whole big pouch full of heads. We've got actually, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different drum heads here. In fact, I'm going to pull just one more out for you to sign now. We'll sign the others when we're done. But the reason I'm having you sign this one, if I can find it. Is this the one? Yes, this is. This is a very special one. Cool.
How's that?
Song for Wellness. Don't forget to sign it, though.
All righty. And I will sign it.
And this drum head, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
We'll present that to you when there's no more room on it.
There you go. Comes with a happy face. We're taking a photo. There you go.
And Troy is also, thankfully, part of a benefit that we do every year for breast cancer. And October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And October 18th, Jimmy DeAnda, Troy, and myself are joining April Samuels. I'm hosting this event in Corpus Christi. If you see this after that, don't worry. Next October, there'll be another one. And I've been circulating this head for a year. So far, we've got Nick Menza, we've got Bruce Becker, Lux, Carmina P. Stewart, Copeland, Ricky Rocket, Brent Fitz, your good friend, Mike Portnoy, Ian Pace. Have you ever heard of Ian Pace? Simon Wright, Vinny Appice, Zoltan Chaney, Stanton Moore, Nick Menza. I think I've repeated a couple. Dave Lombardo. This thing was worth like $20,000, and then I signed it. It's worth about $8 now, but we're still going to raffle it off. So sign this so that when I present it at the gig next month, it'll have your signature on it, which is only fitting since you'll be there. So check out drumtalktv.com and look for April's artist page. We'll pose again for a picture. Check out April's artist page and learn all about what she's doing. I have just 2 more questions.
Okay.
The first one is a Troy Luccketta fun fact. So the Troy Luccketta fun fact is when you're not working with Tesla and you're not in the studio doing sessions and you're just Troy, the dad, the grandfather, the significant other, what music do you like to listen to? What goes through your iPod or in your car stereo? Or do you listen to music? Do you listen to news, sports, talk radio instead? What do your ears get delivered to them?
Well, it's interesting because I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. So I didn't know a lot about country music. So I've tried to, over the last 4 years, spend more time educating myself with just listening to the radio. I haven't turned any rock. Matter of fact, I don't even know the rock station in Nashville.
Really?
I truly don't. If I can't tell you what it is.
Is there one?
There is.
Okay.
But I'm telling you that
you're that far removed.
I am. Yeah. I truly am, and it's given me a chance to really appreciate what's going on in country music. It's a chance to get familiar with a lot of the players and what's going on in Nashville and who's doing what. So I've got a bit of a handle on that. I found myself for a long time huge Keith Urban fan. I love Keith's music, and what I have found out through myself is I had listened to a lot of his music, and then I started, because I didn't even really wasn't that familiar with Keith as well, but I'm like, wow, this guy's really great. You know, he's a true artist. I think a great player, and so I'm not surprised with his success. And then you start to just kind of zone in on different people. I do like, I might put on a jazz station. I might, but for the most part, that's really it. I mean, I'm not really listening to a lot of rock. I'm starting to find myself go back to some of it now. It's interesting. Yeah. I'm coming back. We kind of come full circle, and I'm realizing all the music that I missed. Yeah. So any rate, so yeah, cool. I guess it would probably be the country thing is probably the latest.
That's cool.
Nice.
I'm going to ask, can you please hand me my glasses? I need to read for this next question.
Okay.
Because this next question, I'm kind of tethered. I need to be tied down when we do these things.
Excuse me.
Thank you. So, there's a new game out, and we're gonna play it real quick.
Love games.
And it's by Rock Science and Drum Channel. It's the first drummer trivia game.
Really?
Yeah, check this out. This is really cool. And if you get it online, there's a Mike Portnoy booster app pack, but it comes with, we won't break out the whole thing. I'm just going to throw some questions at you, but it comes with a game board, and why the game pieces are guitar picks, I'm not sure. Maybe because guitarists are subservient to drummers. That makes sense, I suppose. But the way this works, and I'm just going to pull some random cards out here, is that there's different levels of questions. So for instance, watch, he'll be the subject of the question I'm going to ask him. Rocker drummer trivia. So you're either poser level, or you're fan level, or a scientist, which means you're an expert. So for rocker drummer trivia, what level are you, so I know what question to ask you?
Certainly not a poser.
Okay.
Certainly a fan. And the last one, scientist.
Yeah.
Probably not me.
Okay. So we'll go with
I'm
the
a
fan level
fan.
question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So the fan level question, and this is a friend of ours and a friend of the show. Dean Castronovo played on the album White Light, White Heat, White Trash in 1996. What punk rock band released it?
I have no idea.
That's not it. Social Distortion, actually. Dean played on that. Yeah. From Social Distortion.
He played on a
to
lot
Journey.
of shrapnel stuff.
Yeah,
And Dean, I know a
exactly.
lot about you, my friend,
Yeah.
and you've done a fantastic job with, obviously, Journey. And, you know, all those shrapnel records he did, I mean, he was shredding.
Yeah, with Ozzy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all that.
kinds of stuff.
Fantastic drummer.
How about, Buddy Rich? You want to answer a Buddy Rich question?
I'll make an attempt.
Poser, fan, or scientist?
Oh,
What level?
for myself, we're speaking. Right?
Yeah.
Still a fan.
Okay. So the fan level question about Buddy Rich is, in what martial art did Buddy have a black belt? It wasn't drumming. He had a quadruple infinite belt in drumming. What martial art did
was
Buddy
karate.
Rich have a black belt in?
Right?
It was karate. Ding, 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 ding.
But-
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, because I have
Oh,
so
what
many-
different? Yeah.
Right.
No, you got it. One more question, because I know you're a huge fan of this drummer. This is the sex, drugs, and rock and roll question is regarding Cozy Powell. Interesting. Poser, fan, or scientist on Cozy Powell? Fan? Okay.
I'm a fan.
The fan level question from the Rock Science and Drum Channel Drummer Trivia Game. Fan level question for Cozy is, Cozy Powell died in an accident in 1998. What kind of accident led to his unfortunate passing? And we all miss his playing so much.
The interesting part of it is I sat with Keith Emerson, who, when I did the
Yeah, when you did that album?
Three
Yeah.
Fates project, and we were having dinner, and we went out. We had the two last nights of the Three Fates project. 2 nights in a row I got to spend with Keith. And I asked him a lot about Cozy and exactly what happened that night. And it was a car accident.
Yeah, yeah. It was.
And
Yep.
and I know the story behind it, which is really, wow,
Yeah.
pretty incredible. And I was a Cozy fan, excuse me.
Yeah.
And that's what encouraged me, by the way, to take on the Three Fates project, because I love Cozy so much that I never seen myself as that guy to come in and do that kind of a record, an ELP record, you know, like
And I just have to
you
interrupt.
know.
A lot of people don't know that Cozy Powell was on an ELP record. It was called Emerson, Lake and Powell.
Yeah.
And this was in, let me think, because I got in an accident. Actually, I was T-boned on the way to the concert. So this was, I want to say, 1988-ish? I
can't
think it's the
confirm
year
the
he was with them.
dates.
Around that. But it was the late 80s when Cozy did this.
But it was
Yeah.
me being a fan of Cozy's, truly, that inspired me to make me think that maybe I could do this.
Right, because as we were talking
Because
about
I really
earlier,
thought truly it might have been out of my league, and you know,
different genres of
yeah.
music.
Well, it was just I was never fully went down that road, you
Yeah.
know, and I guess I obviously had the playing ability to do it, and I did it, and it was fantastic. And thank goodness for Marc Bonilla, who believed in me and just flat out knew that that I could do it, you know, even though I didn't know I could do it, you know. But at any rate, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And to end with, because there's
Yeah,
background
it's-
around that.
exactly. Folks, check this game out.
I will definitely.
It's
That is
cool.
cool.
Yeah, isn't
man.
that neat? Thank
That is
you,
very cool.
Elizabeth Lang, for getting this to us, and our friends at Drum Channel. Go to drumchannel.com, check it out, and you can check out Troy at the links right here on your screen. You know that Tesla's going to be out there for the next year and a half, 2 years. So
Excuse me.
check them out on tour. And thank you so much for joining us again. I can't
Thank
tell you how
you
much we
for
appreciate
everything.
you coming
and
over here.
we appreciate you so much for what you
Thanks.
do. I mean, you've really done a lot for the drumming community, and you're
thank you.
reaching spectacular numbers that you were sharing with me. And God bless you, man. Keep it up.
Thank you very, very much. And couldn't do it without you folks. None of it really means anything without you watching and participating in our social media stuff. So thank you for being part of the community. That is the drumming community and the Drum Talk TV community. And check out all our interviews at drumtalktv.com. Thanks for joining us. Take care.